Softr is the sponsor of this video, but I'm really excited because this is my favorite software in 2025. And when they added workflows, it just took it up a notch. In this first example, it's really going to lay down the foundation for almost anything. We're going to take emails, and using AI, we're going to direct those emails into the places we need to in our CRM. And from there, we're going to use Softr's easy to use AI that's integrated into their database. And then we're going to put that into the UI so that staff can come in and chat with that data. So in this case, with Softr, what we want to do is go into our workflow area. And in here, we can create our workflows. You can start from scratch. You can use templates. In this case, I'm going to click on one I've already made. Now, of course, you can use AI to help you with these. That's fine as well. All right, but what I want to get into is this particular one, and this is email. In this case, we set up an email box with Gmail, and that Gmail will start checking our email. Now remember, these things poll, so they're going to look every minute in this case for email. So when you start testing this and you send yourself an email, it might take a few minutes to see it all come through. So just remember that. And when this email comes in, I'm going to set it to the inbox. Now there's other boxes here and stuff, but I'm going to go for the inbox. But you could see, like, you could have another inbox or another box that is for a particular system, and they all get picked up from there. So you as a team could all have the AI folder or label. And when you put stuff in there, this system would get it and do something with it. In this case, I made a company email that we can send emails to then automate them or do something with them. This is what they call a trigger. So when you come into the system to build your first workflow or any workflow, you start thinking about triggers. And it's, where does it really start? Is it an event? Someone added something to a system, like a spreadsheet or an email or an Airtable or a HubSpot. It could be another system, send something over here to wake it up and go do something. So now, and schedule is a great one. Every day, send us meeting notes. Don't send us meeting notes. Send us a summary of all the meetings that day so the whole team has it in Slack or somewhere. So once we set up the trigger, we can start doing something with that information. Now, in this case, I chose the AI option. So I went to Softr AI and I did categorize. So there's a lot you can do here. I'm going to cover some of them, and over time, I'll cover them all. And what I'm going to do is categorize the email coming in. So one of the things here is just getting good at prompting. Take your time, run it again and again, get to a place where the prompt works. Now, if you were to take the prompt and the data, I'll explain the data in a moment, and put it into any ChatGPT, just chat away with it for 20 minutes to get it right, bring that prompt over here, it will work. So in the end, if you take time to build a good prompt, then you will pretty much have 100% success. The times you don't have 100% success with AI, other than the bad prompts, is typically when there's just too big of a prompt. You're asking too much out of a step. So keep these steps organized, small, and focused. So now, what's really cool here is I can put my prompt here, and then I can say, you know what, here's the subject. So what we do is we click the @ symbol, and we go into the previous step to grab that particular bit of data that I want. So here we have our prompt, and we have our data that we brought in from the previous step, the email. And now we want to make categories. And the reason we're doing this is because I want, no matter what the email is, I want it to go into the right place. And so in this situation, I want meeting emails to go down the meeting branch. I want agentic requests, and I'll explain that in the next training, to go down a certain automation path. And then I want RFPs that we send in to get processed a certain way, and I'll explain that in another training. So when the AI is done, and you can test, and we see meeting. So I could test again, and it will take the context of that in my prompt and those categories I gave it, and it will figure out which one to use. So now we have our meeting path, and we put the branch here. So this stuff is not easy at first. What are branches? What are weights? What are bulk actions? All this stuff seems normal to me, but then I say them to people and you realize how they're not normal. So in this case, we put a branch here so that at any moment we can go to multiple branches. I could even have another branch here. So in this case, on the first branch, or the left side, I said, hey, you know, where result, so I clicked here, I said category, result is meeting. So each branch just has those different options, and I can add more conditions. So I can say if is meeting and from Bob. So now we have our branch and we have a path. It's not agentic, it's not RFP, it's this one. It could be none of them and it would just stop, right? And so now we go down our meeting branch and we want to do something. Now, we're going to add a record here and delete the email and be done. Because at this point, we did the first goal of taking that email and taking that meeting transcript and moving it into our database, which I'll show you in a moment. So here we're going to add a record, which just meant I'm going to add a Softr database. I'm going to add a record or update records, but I'm going to go add one, okay? Because this is the first time it's coming in. And then I'm going to choose the account, choose the database, and then choose the table. And then from here, I'm going to add whatever fields I want to bring in, which is really cool. So I won't use this one, but I'll bring it in for just a moment. And once I do that, I can reference the information from that email, okay? So that's how easy it is to reference the past data. So let's go get rid of that one. And what you're going to see here is all I'm going to do is the original meeting transcripts, because we're going to do a lot of cool stuff inside the AI part of their database. But that's it. At this point, the workflow is done. It's taken that data, put it into our database, and then we delete the email and we're done. And of course I could test all this by just clicking test and running it. Now, a mock test just means it won't make data in the database, but it could probably find an error if I had one. The real test would make the data in the database, which is fine too. So we will do that after, just to show it all the way through. So now let's go look at how the database takes this and then triggers other information. Let's go look at that. So what we're going to do here is, you'll see I've added the original message. That's all we pushed into the system. So when you go back to here, I save, we add a record and we say from, which is just the from email, in original meeting transcript, and that's it. But what I did here when setting up this table is I took these other columns. Now again, I had AI suggest a way to break up meeting notes, and then I had AI, took that AI prompt and I broke it into columns in my table. And then each column does something with AI. So if I edit the field, I see that I can have an AI agent right there. Okay, that was really just such a good usability moment that they did here. So I pasted the prompt from the AI I used to help me make the prompt. So here I know I'm putting in the original meeting transcript, so I'm going to use that there. So I tell AI, here's what I want you to do, again, prompt, and then we run it against this dynamic data, whichever the new row is, and that's the start. Now, you have the ability to choose different models, and this there's no one answer here. You'll get good at prompting for certain models, for certain companies. See if it does a good job consistently, and it might be perfect. It's not the size of the model, it's not always the cost of the model. It's sometimes the task, the size of the task, and your prompt. So try different models. Do a test with one model, see how it comes out, and the one that does it the best, most consistently, stick to that one. I'm going to use 4.1. Actually, Mini would have been good too, because I want some speed here, and I think Mini might do fine over here. 5.1 is great. Again, it's a little maybe less fast, but if you're having trouble with consistency or complexity, try 5.1 and it should be able to pull it off. Tropic, another good option here. Try these guys and you can't go wrong. You're going to find one that works. Allowing web search. If we needed that, we could do that. For example, I have a particular database that when we add a row, we do a web search to do research on that particular software to see if it needs security patches. So you can do stuff here to complement your data or fill in your data. Now, this is a really important one here. Trigger manually, sure. New record is created, yeah. Existing record is updated. Now, we want to be careful here because we don't want to waste credits and waste time. We don't want to update meeting details if someone updates the title, but we want to only update meeting details if someone updates the original meeting transcript. So you really want to set this to be for the particular fields that matter. So it could be more than one. And skip when value already exists. This one, I'm going to leave it off because I want it to update itself if for some reason we change the transcript, though we probably wouldn't. But you can see where you could leave it and use it or turn it off and let it update every time. And then a filter could be conditions based on other fields. For example, if you had draft published. So if you had content published, you might not want anything to happen to it because it's published. So you would just say filter if published, it wouldn't do the update. So it's another good one. Each one of these have different prompts. And again, they have their prompt and they're pulling in data. Here's one that isn't pulling in data. So I'm going to go add that. And then we're going to say allow web search. I just don't need that here. Allow manual edit. Sure, let me go fix that. But it's only going to get updated when this guy is updated. And run when the original meeting transcript is done. Now, this one was interesting because if I left that out of there, if I left that context out of there, the AI wouldn't have the context it needs to get the work done. So it would have been a really bad prompt or really bad results. So each column, I just kept going down and doing that particular work to give it the AI data. The AI takes it and makes the results. So let's go see how this impacts the UI for us as a team so we can now take advantage of this context. All right, let's go look. We're going to just make a very simple table with cards, and we're going to show the data there. There's so many ways to do this, so I'm going to focus on surfacing the data and chatting with it. I'm not going to teach you how to use the UI. So here we are, we just added the meetings, so now the team can get to them, find them, and use them as needed. And of course, other cool things, open them and then have threads around them and comments, which for me can come in handy because like, where were those meeting notes? What did we talk about last time with this client? And maybe have some comments here where we have other ideas or thoughts, okay? But the other thing that's important to me is the AI part of this. So where we can have AI by just adding it here. There's a blue button here when it's not here that lets us add it. And what that means is that AI is going to have that context. And the key word is context. So we'll have that information to use to then help the user find what they need. And we start to set up the AI to know what this is, because it doesn't know it's looking at your meeting notes necessarily. So anything you can do here to prompt it to understand what its job is, how should it work with you, what is the goal here, so it knows how to return information in a way that makes sense to you and your team. So just take time to do that. Now, once you get into preview mode or use it, then we start to see where we can use the AI to chat with those meeting notes. So if I was just to erase that and come up and say something like that, or I could ask about a particular meeting. This ideally would go into customer reference, into other places so we could bring it all together to see all the information about a customer. We're heading into a new call. Last 3 meetings were about what? Help me understand what I'm heading into for this next meeting. Even just like reporting with here, where we can now set up a workflow to send a daily Slack message of all the 5 meetings. Or at the end of that workflow we made earlier, we can have it send an email to the team and say, here's the latest meeting notes broken up into a way we all like them. All right, let's take a look at what we made. So what I'll do is I'll go over here into run and we'll see if it ran yet. It hasn't. It's about every minute. You might get a 2-minute poll just based off of like timing. There we go. And it should get the email I just sent just now. Let me just double check. Yep, that looks good. And it's just a meeting example sent to that email. And it picks it up. Oh, let's go look really quick too what happens here, just so we can troubleshoot it later on. So here we have the pickup. So it goes and gets the trigger and then it does a category. So we can see it made it a meeting, which is good. So this is how you would troubleshoot it. We see that it went down a branch and then the meeting branch is where it went down to. And then we have branch, add record. So here we can see it added a record. And then we can see it deletes the email. Now, if we go back to here, we should have 3 when I reload this. So let's go reload. I don't know if it would live reload in non-preview mode, but here we have the new meeting notes and they just show up there. Now, remember, all we did was fill in the raw transcript and the other columns kicked in because that's how we did the database. And that's it. So now the meeting is here. Let's try it one more time because I want to show you the raw database so you can see how those other columns work. Okay, so we're just going to give the data. Remember, we're only filling in this column here. No, sorry, not that one. We're only filling in original meeting transcript. There's 3 here right now, But as this comes in, we should get a fourth. I think it will automatically load as it comes in. All right, so here we go. It comes in, you start to see all these fields auto load, even though they were empty to begin with. And that's the point here. They will just fill in with the AI we set up ahead of time. And that's it. So that is how it goes from the email to the workflow to the database and then to our user interface. All right, I hope that really made sense to you on how you can start automating emails and just other workflows. And thanks again to Softr for sponsoring this video. To support the channel, use the sponsor link below, or join or subscribe and share. And please comment, suggest other automations you would like to see, and I'll make that happen. All right, thank you very much for watching all the way through.